Clam. Hi, Clam. Hey, Mark. Javi. I mean, I'm gonna call you Javi until you start talking. How's that, Javi? Oh, let's see. Cupcakes and toucans. That's it for today. Um, hey, Tim. How's Ed your time? In fact, when I first got my first Johnny Cupcake shirt, it was in Edgartown. They had a pop up there. It was a lot of fun. Good. Hey, thanks, Mark. Hey, Stress Factor. How you doing, Colin? Blake. Let's see. PT. Hi, PT. Underachieving watch collector. Let's see. Please don't scrape up the wood floor with those plastic wheels. Oh my God. Okay, I won't. I'm sorry. Um, I've got I got to do some work on it. I dropped a um, spring bar the other day. I was working on something and dropped the old spring bar down, and I'm gonna have to go down there and clean everything up. And hey, Dominic, how you doing? Blake, Doctor A and B. Okay, there may be some hope regarding what I messaged you about earlier. Good to hear, Eddie. Okay, let's. What I'd like to talk about is this. Um, okay, how are we going with the watch project? Well, I haven't heard back from the guy. I've got a good reason to contact him about something else, and so I'll see how that's going. The other part of it is that things are really up in the air, and what I don't want to happen is this: is that we say, okay, we're going to do this, and we're going to get this, and we're going to do this, and then we find out one of those elements isn't working. Okay, I think we can best coordinate it if we, clear it up with whatever project we decide to go ahead with in terms of um, of what we want to do. Uh, my my own personal favorite would be Aganor, and I'll talk to uh, one of the Aganor brothers pretty soon about a number of things, and see where are we on the other stuff. I'm really not sure because see before what uh, we had these daily talks and we could get a lot more feedback. But here now, it's a little more difficult. But I haven't given up. Hi, Craig. How you doing, man? Um, Blue is how the watch companies are trending their watches. Okay, yeah, I heard that blue is hot. Green is, I think, coming up too. Has anyone gotten straps from the lady in Vietnam that Richard Treven uses? I haven't. There's another guy that in Tennessee that he also does bespoke bands and has a lot of something you might want to take a look at. Name is Dan Cheek. So he just started his own web sort of Facebook page about that. Excuse me. Why? Okay. Oh no, Blake. It's just the thing of it is that there are a lot of different parts, a whole lot of moving parts to this thing, and you don't want to start something and find out that people weren't too sure after all. you know. So we'll see where we go. Okay. Hey, Roberto. Um, okay. So hey, Flippin' Zippo and Steven, how you guys doing? Colin, I've used Huang Huang dot good stuff. Okay. How's getting stuff back and forth, Colin, on using stuff from Vietnam? I got a friend over there who's sort of an expatriate who decided to move to Vietnam, and he he and his wife retired there. I totally understand the many moving parts. Still committed to. Yeah, thanks, Blake. I mean, it's not something you can hurry, and you really gotta know the details. Otherwise, it'll go south. Resonance project. Okay, I got some really nice files. A guy who knows files, really knows files, sent them to me. Also, on top of that, I got a new tool. This is a mini grinder set. I gave up. I have a pretty good one actually, with all the heads and everything for it, but I couldn't find the charger, so I sort of like, all hat and no cattle as far as my that was concerned. I do have a story though, a quick one. This is my chronometre Souvain by F.P. Journe. And about every 2 years, it somehow suddenly gets magnetized. I think I may have mentioned this. Well, I got my cheap little red demagnetizer, and I tried it with that. It didn't work, and so I was, and then I thought, well, I'll try it again. And so what I found out that over several times, doing it several times, it finally works, and this thing's totally demagnetized now, and it's keeping great time. So I didn't have to take it, send it to the boutique in New York. The last time it got magnetized, that's what I did. And like I said, about kept in good shape for 2 years. So that little red Chinese demagnifier is really worth it. You've got to be patient with it, but it does work. I have another watch. I think I got two more actually magnetized watches that I got to work on. But the one that was most important to me was this one, and I got it demagnetized. Okay. Can you do a video on how to maintain an organized watchmaking bench? That would be, what I found out, the way I've always done projects. I used to have book projects. I'd always have a book project, and this is before the internet. In fact, it was before word processor, typewriter. I'd go to the library and get all of these stuff and take all of these notes on all of these articles and have everything very neatly set up. But then as time went on, it got very, very messy, but it was a project that you don't want to stop or slow down. And you have there's a date on it that you're working toward. And so, when I was finished with the project, everything was a big mess. And the same thing with watchmaking. I start off, clean everything up on it. The insides are actually pretty well organized. I got something for this and this and this, and I use my own sense of organization, which may not be the most sensible one. I was reading an article the other day about Daniel Roth, and they were talking about I'm going to mess up the way it's pronounced, but it's a type of organization that the Swiss, let me see if I got it here. Hang on a second. No, I don't. Anyway, it was a type of organization, and what he had was this big box, and it had all these little parts in it, and different. The way they used to do it was that every little house they would make one thing, and they were specialists at it. They'd make a wheel, or a certain size wheel, or a gear, or an escapement. They'd do something. And what the watchmakers would do, they'd get a piece here and a piece there and a piece, hither and yon, and put together a watch. And anyway, This is sort of the organization I have with my workbench, is that you put the sort of classified parts. Like one drawer has nothing but straps. Another drawer has the current project, and so I put everything I need to work on a project in a certain drawer. Another drawer has different kinds of things. Now, the one that working on my residence project, that's going to take some time, and I'm not going to rush it because it's sort of a fun thing to do at leisure. I have to cut away at the base of a movement. Okay, well, I got this one right here. And so you have to cut through metal, and you're doing it right next to a balance wheel. And so what I'm going to do is that I broke one of my, I broke several movements, but the balance wheel's in good shape. And so what I'll do, I'll practice taking that out and putting it back, taking it out until I get it all set up, and then I'll do it with the ones that I'm cutting through. But I don't want to take out the balance wheel. And that's, I can use the hand ones that Dominic showed me. These are the ones to use, and then use my my Dremel-like tool on it to, cut it like that. So that's so far I'm going. But the thing is that I don't want to buy a watch that somebody rushed, right? And most of the real craftsmen, they're not going to be rushing that stuff. Oh, wow. Okay, Eddie, you're getting a bunch of pocket watches. That's great. What's on the bench now? You don't want it. It's just a bunch of stuff. Let's see. Oh, let's see. I guess got a bunch of junk here. Mostly I got a whole bunch of straps. I don't know how I ended up with all the straps, but I did. Okay. I'm a movement abuser. You're right. I am. But I sort of, that's just working on stuff. Hi, Chi-Town. How you doing? Mr. Gumby, how are you? And how's Guernsey, Mr. Gumby? Just received my watchmaking kit. Oh, you got it. Oh, Mark, good. Mark got the watchmaking kit. Oh, that'll be fun. You'll learn something too. That's great, Mark. That's great to hear. Touch of modern, yeah. The thing is that if you make your own watch once, you're not afraid of it, and you learn a lot you should learn a lot. The watchmaking kit is a good place to start, because then, you got everything together and everything is built for each other. You're not going to be making an award-winning watch, but you'll be making your own watch. Sort of a fun thing. Okie doke. Well, listen, today what I wanted to talk about, I started thinking about it, and this morning we were talking about something similar. And this has to do with sort of a post-pandemic, what's it going to look like kind of, what's it going to look like kind of deal. I mean, in other words, here we, things right now, the people I've talked to in terms of, this is how we're doing business wise, and certain people are doing fine. Matthew McConnell, I think Matthew anyway, who has the Richard Milne watches, says they're going fine, and he's perfectly happy with that. And now a couple things about that. Matthew isn't running it out of a brick and mortar store. I mean, it's not like a boutique on Madison Avenue, but rather he has different kinds of contacts and so forth, and does it that way. And somebody wants a watch, he can ship it to them. I think a similar thing is done also. I'll have to ask how he's doing. I got a feeling he's doing okay. Is one of my neighbors who's the American representative for Chopek and H. Moser, and it's been hard. We used to meet for coffee every now and then. We haven't done that for a while, but I'll have to text them or something, see how things are going. But by and large, people seem to be pretty happy with with certain kinds of business. Now, there's a guy down at the mall. He's got a jewelry shop and sells things, and there's another one, a couple other, jewelry shops here that have watches that they sell. I think the best watch in this area right now is, probably a Rolex. I used to carry Patek Philippe, but there are 3 stores in the chain, one in Boston, one here, and one I don't know where else. But I don't have no idea because I haven't been down there for a while. But what I'm sort of wondering is that this whole thing is that there's been some time to say, well, sort of consider marketing. And I think the ones who already were doing a lot of stuff online were way ahead of the game. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that. And I hope that one of them, they have just about every watchmaker has terrible websites. They're slow, they're hard to find things, and it's by I know the kind of website developers that do that, and it's mostly about their artistic ability and so forth. And you can't find anything. One of the most egregious things is that FP Journe's site. He's got everything in all caps, like some 15-year-old, decided to do the text for him. I don't know why he does that. There's, is one of those things that makes it hard to read, and you're trying to get something across, and they're going on about passion and this kind of stuff, sort of crazy kind of thing. So what's one thing I hope is that somebody, like they read Edward Tufte's stuff about information design. There are a few good ones out there, but they're usually, pretty straightforward. You look, here are the watches that we have, and here are the different, models, and easy to find. But some of them the English have a wonderful phrase. It's called "too clever by half." I think you guys need to be less clever. Okay, so what kind of watch deals? What kind of watch deals? Hey, oh, by the way, Mark, yeah, you can upload them. This is what you can we'll let you join Pretentious Watchmakers too. That's an elite group. Anyway, let me ask you guys this. I'm drafting a website for Losberg Horology. The problem is that I need working pocket watches to sell first. Yeah, Eddie's right. Pretentious. Are any of you, I don't know, some of you, are any of you beside Eddie, part of Pretentious Watchmakers? That's a great group. We're not as active until one of us gets excited about a watch and we see all of this stuff, and then it slows down for a while. Okay, so what might happen in the future? And one of the things I talked about this morning was not encouraging. All right. This beautiful watch by Mont Blanc in gold, gorgeous, everything from the buckle to the strap to everything about it. And then Mont Blanc, and then they came out with 3, and 2. One was in-house, one was Minerva, and then the other one, the one I like, was this Sellita 200-1, which is, it's a clone of an ETA. Now, to remind us all, remember that Sellita movements, Sellita was hired or contracted with ETA to fill in where ETA couldn't supply enough. There was some kind of ruling in Switzerland that that was they were going to cut them off like 20 years ago, and there was a big lawsuit, and so they had to give them a bunch of time so something like Sellita could develop enough to satisfy people. And one of the good things that came out of it, they started developing their own watches. I mean, their own movements for watches, and started using some other ones that you don't know about. But most of the really sort of solid base ones were all owned by Swatch and part of the ETA, because they had they had Valjoux, and they had the 7750. They had Pazou, which had the 7001 thin hand wound. What else did they have? Well, they had a whole lot of other ones that were in heavy use. And so, okay, fine. But high prices for really special watches, and they're cranking out these things that's just, in my opinion, where's the horology? There isn't any. I mean, you put in a cheap movement, you doll up the watch, you make it out of gold, you do all of this other stuff. Why not put a quartz in there? At least it's more accurate. It doesn't, I mean, it just sort of drives me nuts. But as I've seen a number of other ones, the Roger Dubuis, just some little things that, once Richemont took over, they started cutting back on the really best parts of it. They cut out, instead of having a gold rotor with this really cool engraving that I still haven't figured out what it says, and then they put one in out of tungsten or steel or something, a totally different rotor with nothing interesting about it. And so, that's not, and then I see this happening just like right now. And don't they get it that, who's going to putting that kind of movement into a gold case is just insane, because it's going to price is going to be way up there. Okay, let's see. Okay, yeah, housing market's on fire. Usually everything's on fire. Okay, let's see. Let's just say buying gold and silver rather than watches would be prudent if you're an investor. Okay, some people can make a lot of money on investing in watches if they got lucky. Same thing with gold and commodities. Those things are really dice rolling things. Corporate bean counters, you bet. Okay, I like a tuxedo with sneakers. There you go, Dominic. I said it was like putting a mink coat on an armadillo, but I like that better. A tuxedo with sneakers. Oh man. So there's another thing I think that will change it, if the extent to which and I've always said this, the extent to which watch collectors really start learning about horology, learning about stuff. This is how come I suggested to Mark, make your own watch. Start off, to get a real clear idea of what's going on. Also, how come I started Pretentious Watchmakers is that we can go out and buy end up with something like this for like, $100. And I just put a new strap on it too, which is with one of those quick release straps. But this thing was like tops $100. You can find the same thing for over 1,000, and so what's important, I think, if we have a watchmaker who does some real watchmaking, like this one right here. Here's by one of the, I was reading this thing about, I think it was in the Quill and Pad, and they were talking about this guy who was one of the tip-top best watchmakers in the world. And they're talking about Rolf Lang. And it was like, yeah, and I can see why. You look at that movement, you've got something to look at. You've got something that's hand done. When I visited him, a piece of metal, he said, he cut this thing out and made a part of the base. And I don't know. I think that The problem we run up against is that a lot of the young guys with real talent who actually make movements, they're just charging an arm and a leg. Okay, it takes them a long time and they're really good at it, and there aren't that many people who do it. There's this one young guy, very young guy, French guy. He makes these watches with a key, and you got a key and you wind it up like, something, out of Breguet's workshop. Great watch, wonderful watch, but $30,000. And the people who worry about resale value, God knows what they're thinking about that. I could care less. So what's important is that this guy was able to put together really nice movement. $30,000 is Chihuahua, a lot of money. Too expensive Mont Blanc, what it is. Yeah, Tim, it's exactly right. Now, if they're going to make a cheap one, make it out of stainless steel, charge under $3,000 for it, and you have a pretty watch. And you can have a green dial and green strap and everything else. And that kind. If you're going to make you don't want to put tennis shoes on with a tuxedo like Dominic said. We need Florida Swamp Man to get us some gator skin for straps. Well, no, they don't allow those in California, but that's my home state, and sometimes most of the stuff California does I really like, but sometimes, I mean, come on. Nah. If I purchase a Moser with a dial color I don't like, is it possible to change the dial through them? I don't know, Mark. I don't think so, but that's a good question. It's probably better to get a color you do like. When I got my second Moser, I had a brown one, and that's what I wanted, but I hadn't realized it until I got it. As Steve Martin said in The Jerk, oh, I get it. It's profit. It's a profit deal. Yeah. But the thing is that we can't be naive consumers. I really, these guys who sort of get into the, a herd, I'll put it that way, into a herd about the herd is, oh, we all love Omegas, or we all love Tag Heuers, or we all love this, and they're great watches no matter what. It's just, fine. Go join a herd. You don't have to think. You pay too much for whatever they want you to buy, more power to you. And then you don't have to think. To me, the only thing that's really fun and interesting about watch collection is thinking about it, is learning stuff about it, finding out about the movement, finding out about beyond the movement, any kind of thing that we talked about the other day in the video, and that is the functionality that has been provided by one of the world top watchmakers. And that, you get a little app on top of it, a little mechanical app. You can have some really great watches. Let's see what's going on. I'm hanging in there. Hey Lee, how you doing, man? Any chance of us getting another tour watch from Rolf or another watchmaker? Not from Rolf. I'm almost positive of that. It's one of those things that, at least I think, is you need to back into. And by that, I mean, if you find someone who's really good, first of all, and whose action you could help. And I think the 13 of us who passed it around, I think we did a lot of good, and we gave Rolf Lang a lot of visibility that he didn't have before. Now, and I got to tell you where I got the idea in the first place. Moritz Grossman gave or lent watches to Red Bar, to some Red Bar guys. And a red bar guy would have it, and he got all excited and wore it and so forth. I think it's a great idea. I saw Christine Hutter at the last Watch Time show and talked to her for a little while and thanked her. I said, look, this is where we got the idea. And she wasn't having a very good day, apparently. Okay. But I don't know where we could do this. Mark, FP Jorn doesn't do that kind of stuff. Let's just, why don't you work on what you know, okay, for now. Hey, Clyde, how you doing? Isn't that time is it time to end? Good grief. Boy, time really went by quickly. Okay. Everest watch rolls. Those are nice. I think I got a new watch roll recently. I forgot where it was from, but Wolf makes nice ones. But I got a really nice one. A friend sent me, and I don't remember the source of it. Harbring doesn't need it. Harbring, I mean, you can't find a used Harbring, not because people don't like them and sell them. People know them. I mean, watch collectors know Harbring. Just be real careful, okay? I'm working on something, and I found out that sometimes when I'm working on something, it's best to keep my mouth shut, okay? And that's what I'm doing now. All right? So just stand down or go find something on your own, and but don't include me, all right? I don't want to end up in stuff. Eddie, just relax, okay? Harbring, yeah. Forbin, yeah. There's a Harbring is doing fine. You know what? I'll tell you what Harbring 2 did to get noticed. They won all of these Grand Prix awards. I think they have a total of 4. A lot of the big famous companies don't have 4, and they have won 4, and that's it's really good. Something like Tudor, I think, has won something along those lines too. But look at Tudor; they're part of a big, much stronger company. Okie doke. Well, listen, guys. Let's just see what we can do. Who was it? Was asking about if we're going ahead with our watch project. We're going at a speed that we can that's a careful speed, okay? And so we'll do it at that. There you go, Mark. What I want, Mark, what you need to do is I want to see your finished watch, okay? And so head down to Pretentious Watchmakers and join the Merry Crew. Also, too, one thing, Mark, you might want to think about, and Eddie would be a guy who could really help you with this, is doing some enlage with it, taking a little file and getting a thing all smoothed out and everything. That might really add one to it. Oh, okay. Okay, doke, guys. That's all for today, and thank you all for coming. And everybody's still really safe. We had a bunch of stuff I've got to respond to from this morning about some people have gotten hit very hard by this terrible virus, and you got to just, no matter what your political bent or anything else, but just follow the guidelines, okay, and stay safe. Take care.